Hi everyone. Today we're going to talk eclipse and we're going to talk full moon. This is the full moon, strawberry moon. Okay, the moons were always the full moon almanac, the calendar was a harvest calendar. Very, very interesting. So we have super fun names like the pink moon, the strawberry moon, the wolf moon. Today we have the strawberry moon. It's a full moon in the sign of Sagittarius, and it also coincides with an eclipse that we have today. What are the key takeaways for this? Because I always want to make this simple, easy, applicable, okay? Sagittarius is the sign of the philosopher. It's a sign of higher learning. So when we have, first of all, let's talk eclipse, okay? When we have eclipses, and I've said before, when it comes to full moons and new moons, lunations, the ones that are like the most important are the full and the new moon, right? But these lunations give us an opportunity to do energy exchange. Full moon, new moon are portals of energy exchange. And what happens during an eclipse? Energy exchange accelerated, multiplied times 100, 1,000, etc. Okay, so this energy exchange I'm talking about today for this full moon in Sagittarius with the eclipse has to do with beliefs. Sagittarius is the sign of religion, philosophy, higher learning, higher thinking. Sagittarians, if you have one in your life, you know that they're always learning something and then they're giving you their opinion with regards to this. Because this lunation, this full moon coincides with the south node in Sagittarius, it's asking us to revisit any belief that we may have that is related to our past, things that we have to revisit, things that we have to look over again, maybe beliefs that we didn't know that we had not transmuted, transformed, or released that are still there and maybe are limiting us in some way, or maybe didn't limit us before, that they were useful, productive before, but now with who we are, with all the evolution, the progress that we've had, because we're always changing, now they're no longer useful. They're outdated. We don't need them in our lives anymore. So how do we figure this? Well, we need to figure out for you which house, which area of your life this energy is going to be falling into, okay? So the energy, the full moon in Sagittarius is going to be taking place at 15 degrees Sagittarius. So what you need to check in your chart, which you can get done, at alab.com, at astro.com, or any of the apps that are available for free to get your chart done. All you need is your date, your time, and place of birth. You will check, once you have your astrological wheel, where this 15 degrees Sagittarius falls. So Sagittarius looks like the glyph of it, the symbol of it is a little arrow. And where you see the arrow in which one of the 12 houses, or what I call pieces of the pie, which are the areas of your life in your chart wheel, you're going to check where 15 degrees Sagittarius falls. So let's say there's a house and you see the little arrow, and this house is, 16 degrees Sagittarius. That's when it starts. Well, you know that 15 degrees Sagittarius will fall in the house before. Let's say it's, you see that your 7th house starts at 2 degrees Sagittarius. Well, then this will fall in your 7th house, and because it's 15 degrees and each house is 30 degrees. Okay, so you need to find where this energy is going to fall in which house, because this is where you're going to have to revisit and challenge beliefs with regards to whatever area of your life this house reigns or talks about. I have a video on houses, which I'm going to put here in the description, and you can reference to see, okay, oh, it falls in the 12th house. Oh, okay, it has to do with, deeper beliefs, sort of the collective unconscious, what I have in my subconscious, spirituality, and all of those things. Oh, it falls in the 7th house, relationships, my partner at work, legal things. So you can check the houses video so that you can see once you identify where this full moon eclipse falls, what house and what things fall in that house. That's the area where you're going to need to work the beliefs, okay? Interestingly enough, this also makes what we call a T-square, Okay, you have the sun here in a full moon. Obviously, you know, you have the sun in one sign and you've got the moon in the opposite sign. So we have the sun in Gemini right now, and you got the moon in Sagittarius. The focus is on Sagittarius because it's a moon event. And then you have, this is an opposition, okay? Then you have a square aspect, 90 degrees to Mars in Pisces. So there's something about this opposition in these squares that coincide. By the way, this full moon activates the nodes. Right now, the north node is in Gemini, the south node is in Sagittarius. So this is almost like a double opposition with a double square here. There's a lot, if you know about astrology, you know that these relationships called aspects, these mathematical relationships of 180 degrees and 90 degrees, 180 degrees being the opposition, 90 degrees being the square, are not easy aspects. They're not easy relationships. They're not easy energy. However, they have a purpose, as everything does. So what it does is it brings about certain tensions, and it asks you to reconcile polarities. And when it comes to the opposition, we want unity, we want harmony, we want balance, we want like win-win. When it comes to the square, it's a little bit of a harder aspect, is what we call it. So it's a little bit more of a tension, and it's a little bit more difficult to reconcile the energies involved. In this case, it would be Gemini with Pisces and Sagittarius with Pisces, because the energies that are Sagittarius and Gemini have more in common than, or have a little more affinity than, for example, Sagittarius with Pisces or Gemini with Pisces. But again, the idea that Pisces with Mars is involved is this. Mars is a sign of action. Pisces is Mars is the planet of action, and Pisces is the sign of spirituality, of all things flowing, of flowing with energy. It's a water sign, more emotion, get in touch with your intuition and all this. So you have two signs that are very philosophical, very mind-oriented, and then you've got this sign over here that is asking for a little more deep spirituality, emotion, and all of these things to be involved in this change. So I would suggest that regardless of the house where this energy falls for you, that you don't just look at the mental, philosophical, intellectual aspect of a belief, but that you look deeper within on a spiritual level to see how you can take action, how you can, go from belief to deed, and you can actually affect change in your life in a deeper way, okay? Not just let me look at the mental level here, but going deeper and going into the spiritual level of where this belief may have been, understanding that beliefs, are maybe sometimes things that are productive for us, and sometimes they may be things that are outdated, that are not helping us anymore, that we need to let go of. Looking at life from a really deeply spiritual perspective. That's a little bit more what the Mars in Pisces connection is asking of us, and it gives it a deeper degree of shift and change, which coincides with what the eclipse is asking of us. It's not just one of those full moons that bring about clarity where we can work with ourselves and shift certain things. It's a much bigger, it's like the great change, okay? It's a much bigger shift that is being asked of us. So go deep with this. The other thing is, because this whole thing activates my 12th house, this is where it falls for me. I got really, it's been a while since I did something what I call Commune with Spirit, which is where I pull out my oracle deck, or one of the ones that I have, and I pull out my runes, and I pull something for myself. And I did that last night. And then this morning I pulled something for you guys. And it was very interesting because the card that I pulled was a card that actually also indicated change. It was the card, I have this deck where I pulled, and it was the Inner Star deck, and it's really beautiful. It's actually very, 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 it's all about clarity. It's all about getting in touch with your intuition. And the card that came out was the card called Always Evolving. And it coincides with the energy of, first, a full moon, which is always change. It's always, exchange of energy coming in, energy going out. Eclipse, accelerated change, great change. Even if you don't see it externally, remember, all of this is working on a moon level. So it's going to be felt before it's going to be seen. And so the shifts that are happening, whatever you want to work on today, when you identify which house this energy falls into, that area of your life where you want to maybe uproot some beliefs, challenge some beliefs, and you want to work on revisiting some, maybe some karmas, some things you need to work out with other people. Well, it coincides with this whole idea of always evolving. We are always changing. This is an accentuated moment for that. And we're always every day still continuing to shift. The rune that I pulled out actually completely coincided, and it added something additional. It's the rune Manas, which is the rune of the self, the very first rune of the 24 runes. And what it added, the dimension that it added, because it also talked about this is a time of change, it's a period of shifting and all these things. It said this, and I thought it was very timely, which is what runes always do. Runes are very good about giving you a message that is so timely, it's so perfect for whatever you're going through. And this I asked for us collectively, and I think it's very accurate for what we're going through as a planet in the huge shift. So both the card and the rune mentioned change, and we're talking always evolving, and we're talking the rune of the self, and it talks about the very first thing it says it's a time of changes and shifting and all these things. But what does it say at the end? Progress has a prerequisite: rectification. To rectify means you have to fix things. You have to make things right. And the runes are always talking about right action, the right move at the right moment. And only we know what's right for us. So it's really a deeper getting in touch with who we are inside, and to make decisions from that spiritual core that we have. So that when we make these decisions, without, once we've uprooted these limiting beliefs and all these things that we have to do, once we make these decisions, they're coming from source, and they're coming from core, and they're coming from spirit. And the most beautiful thing to understand is that any time that we have a creation, an intention, a beginning, a start of something that caused energy, if it's the right energy at the right moment, you're coming from the right place, then the effect, the result will be also amazing. It will be the right thing. It will feel good. Okay, so it's really important to co-create from a sort of a clean slate. Once we've already rectified, once we've already made right things that we had, decisions that we hadn't taken in, at the right moment, at the right time. Maybe we were emotional about certain things and we made the wrong decision based on emotion rather than on harmony and on a, more higher frequency state. We were angry, we made a decision, or we were sad, we made a decision, and it wasn't the right thing. The result wasn't great. Now is the time to rectify. If we need to set things right with somebody, if we need to set things right with ourselves, that's always the first job. And the rune itself said, this is the rune of self. It's the deal is always me with me, higher me with, little me. And it's that relationship that's going to be setting the tone for the rest of our relationships in all areas of our lives. So first, rectify. What are the things with me that I need to, make right? Am I not eating the right things? Am I not nourishing my body in the right way? Am I not getting enough sleep? Am I not taking care of myself? Am I not nourishing myself? Am I not loving myself enough? Am I, what do I need to do in terms of, to have financial security with my work, with everything, the situation that's happening right now? All of these things, how do I make right? How do I make a better decision? How do I come from the right place to make all these shifts? Which before maybe I didn't, make the right decisions. And now, Vision 2020, in the year 2020, I can see it, what I've done from before. I can tell that was a decision I made based on, some emotions I was having at the moment. I can tell that I hurt that person, and maybe I need to, have a conversation with that person, or revisit in myself what could be the thing that took place within me that generated that external interaction. All of these things are things we can revisit today with the energy of the full moon, the eclipse, the full moon coinciding and activating the South Node, which talks about karma and relationships from the past and beliefs from the past and sort of our comfort zone as well. So how do I, challenge that comfort zone? What are these beliefs that are keeping me in this comfort zone? What did I do before that I didn't quite get right? And how can I get it right before I move on? That's sort of the idea. That is the energy that we're working with. And so again, I'm going to remind you that I'm going to put the video of the houses. You're going to need to check where 15 degrees Sagittarius falls in which house, and that is the house where you will work all of these uprooting of beliefs and seeing where you need to revisit, rectify in order to move forward and progress. And this, I'm talking planet as well. This is always, the relationship first is with the self, and that's going to set the tone for everything else. But I'm always thinking, how can we do better for the planet? How is this going to make the planet, more healthy, more optimal? How can we all share with each other? Everything you're going to do with and for yourself is going to have an effect on everybody else, on the planet. So this is always a starting point, only point A. Everything else, of course, comes into play as well. There's a lot of things we need to rectify. This is why this whole planet is in a big shift right now. And I think we can begin to talk about those things within ourselves and then have an effect externally as to how we behave with the planet, what we think about it, the decisions we made before that have affected the planet, etc., etc. This entire process you're doing with yourself, we do it with others, we do it with how we affect the planet as well. Okay, many blessings. You can always reach out to me at marilsalispaz.com. All the info below for a astrocoaching birth chart reading, which will help you understand yourself so much more, who you are, why you're here. So much love and happy eclipse. Lots of changes. Embrace them. Don't resist them. Happy eclipse, full moon, full strawberry moon in Sagittarius. We'll see you in the next one.